is Fred Razak at CMTrading. Today is November 8th, 2018, and today is Thursday morning. So looking at the economic events of the day, major event this evening at 9 p.m. South African time out of United States. It's the federal funds rate, the FOMC rate statement as well. And basically, that's the rate at which the federal government in the United States lends money to the banks in the United States. And the outcome of that is, basically at what benchmark the banks will be lending consumers in the United States. So it's a really important number. It's probably one of the most important numbers that it's coming out, and it happens to be coming out the same week as the election week as we had 2 days ago. So we've had the election day rally, we had the follow up to it yesterday. We had a massive rally, but let's see how this is actually going to actually fruit, and just expect volatility to be very high. Now, just a few points before we jump into the charts. Number one, South African Rand became very strong versus the dollar. We'll take a look at that. Aussie dollar stronger as well, whereas the Euro USD looks a little bit weak versus the dollar. Okay, and we like to see that kind of parity between the characteristics of the pairs, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment. The Dow surges over 500 points yesterday, if you include, pre-market and post-market. So, a massive rally for the Dow Jones yesterday, and we'll take a look at that, above 26,000. Commodities, gold and oil are lower. Okay, understandably, if there's less concern in the markets, gold will sell off. Okay, lastly, Amazon rallies, whereas Apple bounces and Facebook is flat. Okay, Facebook, the stock Facebook, we'll take a look at that. So suffice it to say, at the next turn downwards, Facebook may actually just sell off. Okay, it could be that it's already priced in, less volatility. However, when the rest of the market surges up and one of the stocks doesn't, which is a major player, you kind of question yourself as to the direction of that future of that stock. But let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today. So we're taking a look here at the Euro USD, and as you can see, we had this massive sell-off yesterday from 115 down to 114.30, 70 pips sell-off, which is considerable, seeing how we didn't go that much. Okay, we went about 100 pips up, so we're below 115 again. So that's really a major number for it. Now I'd like to see if it does break the moving averages on the downside. Okay, if it will correct itself back to 113. However, just be aware that the other currencies versus the dollar are still very strong. Aussie USD, let's take a look at that. As you can see, we'll take a look at a daily chart. It's pretty strong. Didn't really come in, didn't sell off. And just to give you a perspective of it, we're looking at a 4-hour chart, and we're at that top of that range, and we'd like to see if that actually breaks above it. Now, if it does break above it, then this is a bona fide rally on the upside versus the dollar, and we may have a correctional move continue versus the dollar with the Aussie dollar. So just keep that in mind today, that we're really right there. Okay, this was a previous resistance level for that downwards trend, and we're really flirting with it right now. So if we do sell off here, just be aware that we are at resistance level. Now, jumping to the GBP USD, not much of a sell-off. Okay, so really the weakest link versus the USD is the euro. So if there are any turns downwards, I would jump into the euro to actually sell short. So just be aware of that as that continues to trade today. Now, jumping into gold, trading lower, but nothing really to write home about. Okay, 12.25, still strong in the larger scheme of things. Okay, not really, and jumping or trending, but I think we're taking things out compartmentalized. Okay, which means that we go up, we kind of trade in a range, we go up more, we trade in a range, we go up more, and we trade in a range. We're not trending right now, but I think that we are consolidating here, and based on how the market is going to react today with the FOMC decision, I think that it's going to bear a lot of weight onto the price of gold. Now, jumping into oil, still lower at 61.75. Once we broke that support level at 62, that's it. Okay, however, it is consolidating here, so we may see a bounce, so just be aware of that as this continues to trade later today. But you can see it's a bona fide trending downwards. Okay, you could see that the moving average, the blue line, is really that upper resistance line, so just be aware of it, that it can continue trading further down. Now, jumping into the Dow Jones, as we mentioned, we had a massive day yesterday. 26,150 is where we're at right now, and if we look at a weekly chart, just to give you a perspective of it, we're only about 900 points from our, or 800 points away from our all-time highs after the debacle of almost 3,000 points. So, with all said and done, the market is very resilient. Okay, the markets are not going out of business. However, if the FOMC starts, putting some barriers, or not barriers, but rather some safety nets in order to protect the market from, heating too much, we could expect a sell-off today. So just be aware of that. But expect the volatility. That's for sure going to be there. Jumping into the DAX, as we mentioned earlier, you see that we jumped, but not that much. 11,649. I would have expected we were closer to the 11,900-ish level. So it shows some weakness in the DAX right now. So just be aware that as we enter today's trading session. Now, jumping into the USD ZAR, you can see that we mentioned this earlier, the ZAR getting stronger versus the dollar. This is the first time that it actually broke this 14-ish level, all right, where it's really faltering and sitting on support, previous resistance, right? So this is actually has to, continue this, correctional move. The next real support level is 1353. Okay, and didn't rally as high as Amazon did. Okay, Amazon's closer or above its, it's above its moving day average. Okay, so it's extending itself much quicker than Apple. Okay, which also shows that it's much more volatile than Apple. Okay, so if we do continue to rally today, I'd look for the stocks to give me that direction as to where they're going. Now, if we look at Facebook, dead. Okay, 150, not going anywhere higher. If you look at a daily, it's just trading sideways. So suffice it to say, if the market does sell off, I do expect Facebook to sell off as well. Okay, so it's relative weakness here versus the larger scheme of things. So again, just be aware that the FOMC is coming out this evening at 9 p.m. So just be aware that South African time, obviously. So just be cautious, trade small. Put in the protection of stop losses so you don't get too hurt. Okay, this is Fred Razak. I wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.